England remains the final stronghold in a continent engulfed by war, a lone island resisting the sweeping tide of destruction, while enemies declare that England will inevitably collapse. The people brace for the storm to come as air raid sirens wail. Families rush under stairs hoping for protection from the bombs falling overhead. Fear settles deep in their hearts. One person confesses they believed they would burn alive as the danger approached closer. With each second, the skies above England are filled with aircraft engines roaring, bombs dropping, chaos raining down. The British Air Force retaliates, unleashing thousands of kilos of bombs in a single night. Determined to return devastation for devastation, the enemy vows to erase cities off the map entirely. Their strategy focuses relentlessly on London, bombing the capital continuously in waves, hoping to force the city underground, to force its people into hiding. Every minute brings a fresh attack, planes circling above, dropping payload after payload. The goal is clear: to break the will of the British people by overwhelming them with constant fear and destruction. As the bombing intensifies, Londoners grow more desperate for safety. Official shelters are scarce and the government has barred the use of the London Underground or tube system as bomb shelters. This leads to a grassroots campaign. Citizens demand access to the deeper shelters that could truly protect them. They choose a bold act of defiance, targeting the elite Savoy Hotel to draw attention to their cause. Ordinary people occupy the hotel without permission, risking arrest. To make a point, when the police arrive, they are asked about their intentions. The answer is simple: they do not want to remain in the hotel. They want the government to open the tubes for public shelter. The occupation becomes a symbol of civilian resistance and civic pressure, eventually swaying public opinion. Despite initial government resistance, the people of London take matters into their own hands, organizing themselves within the tube stations and creating a new form of shelter deep beneath the streets. This act of resilience becomes one of the most striking elements of a war fought as much in the hearts of civilians as on the battlefield. Meanwhile, the Battle of London continues into its first full month. Entire neighborhoods bear the scars of bombings, yet the city remains standing. Though tried and battered, the spirit of its people endures. If the German plan was to break the morale of the population, it has failed completely. Londoners rally behind their city, their communities, their country. What was meant to instill terror instead strengthens unity. The enemy alters its strategy, increasing the scale and intensity of attacks, hoping that by leveling more of the city and causing greater chaos, the defenders will finally surrender. But the defenders are not just soldiers, they are shopkeepers, nurses, children, parents, firefighters, and factory workers who choose to live not in fear but with courage. A German leader warns that the war may stretch on, that the road ahead may be long and full of hardship, yet even this declaration does not crush the resolve of those standing against it. On the front lines of this endurance are the bomber crews, men tasked with flying into enemy territory. Each mission comes with great risk and often deadly consequences. The crews prepare with grim determination. Many do not return, and those who fly again carry the weight of uncertainty. Before each takeoff, they ask themselves if they will survive, if they will return home. The mood is quiet, serious, marked by the knowledge that any flight could be their last. They push forward regardless, driven by duty and the hope of ending the suffering on the ground. This film captures the complex human experience within war. It shows not just the horror of destruction but also the bravery that rises from it. From the people under the stairs to the protesters at the Savoy to the pilots in the skies, everyone plays a part in the resistance. The bombings continue, the fires burn, the nights are long and filled with dread, yet London refuses to fall. The people refuse to give in. Every act of defiance, every step into a tube station, every return flight is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. England remains battered but unbroken, and in this story of fear and fire there is also one of courage, community, and an unyielding will to survive. A young person full of determination leaving home to do war work despite the pleas of a protective father who believes family should stay together. The thrill of independence and the promise of purpose pull this individual away into the chaos of war. Arriving at the factory the next morning, they find themselves among thousands of cyclists, all moving through the city like a river of people bound by duty. Then the sirens scream for the first time and chaos erupts. The skies darken and enemy planes swoop down, machine gunning the cyclists. Panic spreads, people fall and die in the streets. The newcomer watches, horrified, unable to comprehend the brutality unfolding around them. The war becomes real, not through newspapers or speeches but through the sound of bullets and the sight of death. Despite the terror, everyone continues doing their part. Nobody seeks to harm ordinary people, but war makes no such distinctions. Coventry becomes a symbol of fear, a target chosen to strike at Britannia Euro trademark as heart. But the strategy is foolish. The attack begins and the destruction is overwhelming. Families hide under stairs, believing it to be the safest place. The lights go out, the world catches fire. A young woman, a Euro trademark as hair, begins to burn and she fears she will not survive. She returns to Edinburgh not as a hero but as a shell of her former self, shaken by what she has seen and endured. Sirens now trigger panic, her nerves fray with every warning of an air raid. Far from the front lines, another city, Liverpool, becomes the next target of destruction. The German raids aim to cripple the harbour and crush morale. Churchill declares that Britain will never surrender, but those in Liverpool feel differently. Beaten down by fire and ruin, many would have surrendered if given the chance. The words of those in power offer little comfort to those hiding in the rubble and burning streets, while leaders sit in steel-lined bunkers. The people above ground feel abandoned, helpless, filled with rage that the enemy strikes freely while they can do nothing in return. They are not Soldiers, they are just people waiting to die, yet life continues even under bombs. Families gather in underground shelters for Christmas Eve, trying to hold on to something normal, something human. England stands alone in Europe, surrounded by enemies and waiting for the moment when someone will break. The British declare that it will not be them. London burns again. A massive incendiary raid lights up the city. The heart of London goes dark and silent, yet even in silence people resist. A reporter watches the flames from a rooftop, reminded of the Great Fire centuries before. In the chaos he sees a man toss a burning bomb from a roof, gloved and determined, refusing to let fire claim the city again. The voice of the nation declares that this blackmail by terror has failed. The bombing intended to break the British only fuels their will. Their spirit burns brighter than ever in the face of violence. On one strange night, as fire rains from the sky, people go on as if untouched. A news vendor sells papers, shouting the cup final result to an indifferent crowd. A prostitute walks the street singing under her umbrella, moving through the Blitz as if it were just another night. There is defiance in every ordinary act. The sirens fall silent for the first time in days. No air activity is reported. People notice the quiet and wonder how long it will last. This story is not just about bombs and fire, but about people, how they live through fear, how they resist with their routines, their voices, their humor and their anger. It is a story of a country bruised but not broken, a people terrified but not defeated. From the factory floors to the firelit rooftops, from the shelters beneath the streets to the blazing skyline above, this is the story of a war that tried to crush a nation and instead awakened its strength. The fear never disappears, but neither does the courage, and as the days turn into months, the people of Britain carry on. They laugh, they fight, they burn, and they rebuild. The war is far from over, but the heart of the country continues to beat louder and stronger with every raid survived and every night endured. Even after the raids ceased for a time, the scars of war remained etched in every street, every shattered window, every frightened glance. The silence that followed the bombing was not peace, but an eerie pause, a moment to catch breath before the next storm. Even children aged beyond their years carried the weight of fear in their eyes, yet they still played in the rubble, making games from ruins, creating joy where none should exist. Old men read newspapers on benches surrounded by destruction, pretending for a while that things were normal. Women queued for bread and milk, talking about the weather, while the ghosts of lost homes lingered in their thoughts. Life did not stop because it could not. The trains still ran, the factories still worked, the cities still breathed through smoke and ash. There was something unshakable in the people, an instinct to endure when logic said surrender would be easier. Soldiers returned on leave to streets they barely recognized, and families patched their lives back together with whatever they had hoped became a quiet act of resistance. Hope that the next raid would miss their home, that their sons would return, that someday the sky would be just sky again. Not a warning, not a threat. In the underground shelters stories were told, songs were sung, laughter echoed in defiance of the silence above, and even as fear sat beside them, people still held each other, shared food, shared dreams, shared courage. They were not just victims of a great conflict, they were its backbone, its heart, its stubborn soul that refused to break. And so the days continued, the nights came and went, and the people of Britain stood in the ruins, not broken, not bowed, but burning with the quiet strength of those who choose to survive. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.